Architectural Builder Supply is pleased to present you with this recording of the technical question that is listed in the title of this video.
This call may be monitored and recorded for quality assurance.
To start with, and I saw that you guys had a video online about the PEMCO automatic door bottom, and I want to order one of those, but I also need hinges for the same door, which I'm calling a fire separation door, not a full-fledged fire door between a garage and a home, but between the garage and living space of a home. And I've been reading about this for a little while, and I wanted to get some self-closing spring hinges, like 4.5 square corner, and this door is really heavy, and I thought I was going to put 4 hinges on. And so I couldn't find them on your website. So why am I calling you if I couldn't find them? Because I already looked at your video about the PEMCO automatic door bottom thing, so I figured why don't I just order everything from one place.
So, 4 hinges. Is your door prepped for 4 hinges?
My door is brand new and it's not prepped for anything. I'm going to prep it. I'm going to just mortise it myself.
So it's definitely, absolutely not a fire-rated door at all.
Why is that?
Because you're prepping it yourself.
It is. What's that?
Because you're prepping it yourself.
Well, it's not that. We're not in actually an area where we have a fire code, and this is probably going a little too far. From what I've read, is a fire separation.
Are you in some village in Mexico?
I'm in a village in Vermont, and there is no building code. There's no building code enforced here, but the owner wants it in case he ever goes to sell it, and it's really above and beyond what anybody around here would do. I mean, it absolutely is. Plus, it's an 1 5/8. It's an 1 3/8 solid door with a frame and panel door glued onto it to look like it was. It sounds kind of goofy. It isn't. It's very, very well made. I made it myself. I made all the doors in this multi-million-dollar home myself. So I'm just. This one looks from the living side. It looks like a frame and panel door. From the other side, it's an 1 3/8. From what I've been able to find out, there's a difference between a fire door and a fire separation door. This is a lower, less stringent requirement, and it is the requirement for a residential situation from house to garage, and that's what I'm going with, and they're happy with that. So what I'm going to do is, because the door really does weigh quite a bit more, it's probably 110 pounds or something like that. I want to put 4 hinges on just to be super sure, and what I'm gathering is maybe 3 of them have to be a spring hinge, and one of them can be a conventional hinge that matches up with it or something like that.
Yeah, I don't disagree with the deployment of hinges. To what you said earlier, I happen to be a certified fire door inspector, so you can rely on me to give you guidance in terms of NFPA and how the NFPA 80 standard is phased into code. But moving on, I'm going to consider this is not a fire-rated door is what I will consider it. Doesn't matter at all. So how heavy would you say the door is?
I'd say I'm just guessing, just from handling it, it's got to be 110 pounds or something like it. And what I like about the 4 hinges, the owner is really a stickler. He wanted me to use ball-bearing hinges in the house, and I did. I think I used Delcana hinges, all ball-bearing hinges, and he's afraid of hinge wear and all this other stuff. So also with a door of this weight, I just like the fact that I have other things to screw into. You know what I'm saying? In other words, there's just more homes for screws and everything, and I made a 6-quarter oak jam for this thing because I just want to have plenty of meat. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do know what 6-quarter is. So 110 pounds is in our industry garden variety. It is very heavy, but it's garden variety. If you want to put 4 hinges on there, I would say that's great. I would put, how tall is the door?
It's only regular 6'8", 3.0,
okay.
6'8".
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, 3 spring hinges are necessary. It would be better to have hydraulic control over the door, just to throw that out there. In spite of using a door closer, I would put a ball bearing hinge at the top, and I would use spring hinges everywhere else. And
Okay.
I think you'd be in great shape. Forgive me, how thick is the door?
I think about 2 1/8. I mean, it's about 20
Okay.
feet away from me. I could go and check it, but I tried to keep it within the confines of normal lock set, which I'm not going to buy today. I want to just get this sucker installed and stuff like that. I mean, just to tell you, around here, like, people would be like, "What the hell are you doing?" I mean, it would just be, people we would think that this is totally overkill. But
I have a locksmith client of mine who does work in Vermont, and we have had conversations about a technology of lock mid-century and how it's all over the place in so much of Vermont. And I'm thinking it's like a time machine where these locks are installed. Yeah. These ski resorts, they've got all these Schlage wafer locks, and Schlage, they stopped producing. The last service manual they produced was from 1959. So I understand what you're saying. There's a correlation.
You're talking about ski areas. Most of the house, without wasting your time, I'll just tell you very quickly. A lot of the housing stock around here, like the house next door to me, is probably from 1787. There's a lot of 1700s, 1800s houses around here with stone basement and mud in the basement and stuff like that. So this is like space age. What I'm asking for Vermont is like space age here, and this is more than enough. They never even thought that they needed this. But what I have read is that there's something called a fire separation door, and that is a lower. It's not like a 20-minute fire rated door. It's not a mineral core. It just has to be solid 1 3/8 inches, and that's why we didn't use a normal frame and panel, because the frame where the panels go in, the panels would be, a 1/2 inch thick, and so that did not make the 1 3/8 solid requirement. So that's why we went with this. And I've read that this would do it. And it's not a fire door. This is just a house, even though it's a very expensive house. It's just a house. So I can always put a hydraulic closer on later if these things don't seem to be up to it.
Well, they'll close a 110-pound door. Okay. A 307, a hollow metal door used in a stairwell, a stair enclosure in a 5-story, condo building, in the West Loop of Chicago. That's every day. The 110 pounds. That's, like I said, garden variety. And they would put 3 spring hinges on that. Well, actually, they would probably put 2. The problem is, I like to have more spring power, more stored energy, so that you can do a little bit better job to tailor it. But when it comes to tailoring, it's a spring. Very dumb technology, So it's, give me tension and I will release it.
But I can dial it back a little bit. In other words, with the 3, I'm not going to find that no matter what I do, I can't back it off enough. It doesn't like launch people into the room or anything. Is that correct?
Well, yeah, it would certainly never do that. What you seek to do is to find a happy medium between building enough speed when you let the door go, inertia, and getting the door closed and latched. Yeah,
right.
That's so spring hinges are they're they don't always work, and when they fail,
not the same as having right.
Hydraulic control, you're going to have more torque. If you open the door to 15 degree, you're going to have the same amount of closing force as you would if you opened it to 90 degree. And with a spring hinge, that's obviously not the case. So anyway,
right. It's like one of these storm doors that it never quite latches at the end because there's a little air in there, and you try to install it, and it never. Those plungers on the $400 aluminum door, they most of the time you don't hear the little thing latch, and it ends up staying open all night. I got you. Having an arm up there. I have a hydraulic closer on my wood shop, and the thing has worked every day, probably for many years, and and it'll holds a 4.5-foot door closed every single day. So I got you. And the hinge doesn't have that leverage. It's way back there, and it's kind of like it's kind of at a weak place to exert that kind of pull. We can always add the other thing later. These should 3 of them and a ball bearing. So is the ball bearing hinge that I would buy, would that match up? In other words, the barrels would match up. They're twins or something, just without the spring.
Yeah. The mixture of the hinge that we would deploy would be compatible, that vertical axis of pivoting. You can't use any hinge with any hinge, but we would select those that are compatible with each other.
Okay. And so that, for what I need right now, I need like that Pemco 4131 in dark bronze, if that's available. I want to surface mount it. I watched the video. I've done the PDF. I got that. I understand what to do and how to work the space at the bottom. And I need the 4 hinges and maybe a couple of kick plates or something, or 1 kick plate for the same door.
Okay. Is this an order that I should enter now?
Yeah.
Okay. So a 4131 in dark bronze, probably with the Pemco preen insert. What length do you want it?
Okay. Well, I'm going to measure the door. I think it's something like 35 7/8, but now better than that, I'm going to actually measure it. It's like 35 15/16, hoping that I don't have to trim it.
Well, okay. So with this automatic door bottom, the net width of the door is irrelevant. So the door swings into the home. You'd want to stand in the garage and put your tape measure between the stops, because that's the area.
Yeah, I have flexibility there. I didn't make them yet. In other words, I'm going to take the stops will be about a 1/2 inch on each side, plus the 1/8 inch space. So I could figure that out right now. But in other words, you're not going to cut it there. You're just giving it to me, and I'm cutting a. Is that correct, or do I need to figure it right now?
We could do it either way. I would prefer that it arrive to you the net size you want. But if you're okay with trimming it, then
no, I would vastly prefer it to be neatly cut with equipment that you probably have that would do it neater job than I would. So I can do the math, and I could do it in about 1 minute. And I literally, while we're on the phone, and so the stops have not been milled yet, and I could just do it right now. And then I also have to tell you, as far as the kick, the bottom rail of the door, this Pemco thing is going to be about 1 7/8 inches, if I recall from looking at the thing the other day. And my bottom rail is 8 inches, so if I'm deducting 1 7/8 inches, I've only got about a little tiny bit over 6 inches left. So do you have, are there kick plates available like 4 inches wide or 5 inches wide?
Yeah, anything could be made. That's for sure. So whatever net size, it would either be 4 or 6 inch. When it gets to an odd or a fractional size, there's a 30% upcharge that the factory puts on it.
Okay. I mean, I think that 4 would probably be fine. So should I call you back in 5 minutes, or should I do this right now? Should I figure out this? Go ahead.
I'm going to be here for another half an hour. I would prefer if you measure twice and cut once. My name is Richard. I'm at my desk, and just take your time. Let's get the size right. Nothing's going to happen between now and the rest of the day anyway. So let's do it right.
Is there a direct number I should call you on, or should I just call the general number that I just called?
The same number. If I don't answer, just ask for me.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Oh, you too. Bye-bye.
So I measured that space between the stops, even though it hasn't been made yet, and I'm coming up with 35 on the nose.
Oh, I came up with 35 and a 16th. Okay.
Okay. I'm making a 9/16 jam, and I'm also keeping in mind that I could adjust that plunger with a screw head or something.
you can. That, of course, only affects the amount of drop on the unit.
I thought it triggers I thought it triggers the drop. In other words, it's what makes it drop, isn't it? The plunger.
Yeah, that's exactly correct. And the amount of projection of that bolt head is what is responsible for the length of drop from 0 to its maximum.
Right. Well, I'm confident enough that I'll be able to make this work. I can adjust the jams, which I haven't, the stops, which I haven't made yet. So it's going to be like a weather strip.
Yeah.
Jam.
My math was 35 and 15/16, 35.9375 plus a quarter inch. You're going to have an eighth of an inch between each jam, so a quarter inch. You're going to take off your 1 inch total for your half-inch stops. If you make those 9/16, let's make that minus 1.125, and then let's take off another eighth of an inch for your margin, 34 and 15/16. So there you go. 35 inch. That's a winner.
Yeah. So we'll do that. And yes, this is an order, and I'm going to give you my charge card when we're all done. And so I'm figuring that the 4 inch the kick plate, the 4 inch will be fine, and the bronze Penco 4131, and then the 4 hinges. Now, do I have to buy it? I can, because I'm going to be doing another door like this. I wanted to kind of just like get my bearings on this one. But if I have to buy that top hinge as a pair, I can do that. Oh, I also have to tell you what the handing is of it.
The next question is, what's the hand of the door? Mm-hmm.
Okay. The way I say it, I would call this a left-hand in-swing. When my back is up against the frame, it would be my left hand that would be swinging out. And when
Perfect.
I'm saying in, I'm talking about in-swing to the living space as opposed to the garage. It can't open out into the garage because there'd be a car parked there.
Yeah, there's an industry technical term for that. It's called butt to butt. It's a butt to butt. It's a left hand.
Right.
Yes,
okay, so if I am my left hand would be going from straight in front of me to swinging out to my left, and that's what I call a left hand in swing.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, so on the kick plate, are you putting it on the push side, obviously?
Yeah, on the garage side where somebody, I'm assuming, in other words, where on the outer, if you want to call it exterior, if you know what I mean, exterior meaning the garage.
Yeah, the ingress
into
side.
the living space. So that's where I would be putting it. Yeah, so it's going to be sharing the space with that automatic door bottom, and that's why I'm only going with a 4 inch, because it would, so that there's really not much room for anything else. I don't want to be right at the top of the bottom rail of the door. That would look ridiculous.
Yeah, right. And you're going to stop that to the top of the unit. Okay. So what net width do you want it? Would 34 inch work?
Yes, sounds fine. I mean, if somebody's that devoted to kicking it, that they have to find unarmored places, I can't help it.
Right. What finish do you want that plate to be?
Bronze, if possible. You know what? It just occurred to me. I'm getting a little backwards. The 6 inch would work, and here's the reason. I forgot. The other side is a birch solid core door. The side that this is on.
Oh, you've got room.
Does not have a bottom rail. I think it'd be 4 feet high. So let's go with the 6 inch.
So bronze, do you want it to be like oil rubbed bronze? That would match that dark bronze on the.
Yeah, I mean, he's got all this Marvin windows and doors around, so I think everything else is dark bronze. If I hope I'm remembering this correctly. So, and then at one point I'm going to have to buy a lock set for this thing, next week or something. And I'm assuming that an easy color to match up would be, an oil rub bronze or something. Shouldn't be a difficult thing. Or whatever you think is the most common, easily matched finish. I haven't picked anything out yet. We'd get like some kind of a semi-decent lockable, lock set, non-mortise, just through something with I'm not ready to do that today. I have to talk to whoever I'm working with, but some kind of a combo thing, deadbolt and, I don't remember what they call those things with the big rectangular back plate on them, but whatever.
Oh,
whatever
interconnected lock.
Yeah. So whatever's whatever's a typical, with the most industry common color to match would be the bronze that I want.
Well, there's either satin bronze, which would be much more like some copper and dull brass mixed together, but then there would be oil rub bronze, which would be quite to the darker end of the spectrum.
Yeah, I think that the oil rub bronze would be a safer choice.
Yeah. So the problem with oil rub bronze is its inherent definition is living finish. What that boils down to is oil rub bronze never matches, not even itself. Now, will it be quite complementary? Will the oil rub bronze kick plate look really close to the dark bronze anodized aluminum?
Fine.
It is.
I understand it's going to get burnished when people give it a boot. It's going to get some variegation on it or something, and I got you. It's not dead. We're picky, but not that picky. I hear you. I appreciate the fact that you brought it up, but I think we'll be okay.
Okay, so I would imagine that the hinges you want would also be in an oil rub finish?
Yes.
Okay, so 3 spring hinges,
right,
and then 1 regular hinge, one standard ball bearing hinge. Okay.
Now these hinges just are mortised in a normal way. These are not like an adjustable hinge where you need a mortise about a 1/2 inch deep or anything, right? This is just whatever you usually do with a butt hinge, you do with these, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah, this is a good old-fashioned, this is your grandpa's, butt hinge, that's for sure.
Got it.
Okay, so an automatic door bottom, 1 kick plate, 3 spring hinges, and a ball bearing hinge. Okay. Yeah, okay. Well, that's easy work. The material total is $278 roughly.
Okay. I have a charge card.
Architectural Builders Supply hopes you have enjoyed this program.